police have left the central square in Istanbul, Taksim Square, to allow protesters to continue their demonstrations there. Thousands of people remain in the square, rallying against the ruling AK party. The situation remains tense in the capital, Ankara, where police used tear gas to disperse a huge demonstration. Turkey's Prime Minister Recep Tayyip Erdogan is calling for calm and has said that allegations of excessive force by the police will be investigated. All right, let's now bring in our next guest in Istanbul, Andrew Finkel. He is a journalist and author of Turkey, What Everyone Needs to Know. Andrew, thank you very much for being on Al Jazeera. So, clearly, do you think the government expected such a turn of events?
No, I don't think so at all. I think they were totally taken by surprise. They're used to having their own way. On the 29th of May, at a big ceremony opening up a third bridge in Istanbul, he said, if we want to build this shopping mall, we'll build this shopping mall. I don't think anyone anticipated that this would strike such a raw nerve in the urbanite Istanbul consciousness, that the people just don't really want to have these decisions foisted on them. They see the city as being developing out of control, and they're blaming the government, and they've made their point very, very clearly, fully.
But is this just about the urbanization project, Andrew, or is there more to it? There seems to be a lot of anger right now. We've heard from people who say they want Recep Tayyip Erdogan to step down. There seems to be other underlying factors here.
Well, I think my own reading is that Mr. Erdogan has sort of reached what we call in politics the 10-year rule. After a certain point, you've been in power so long that you start making mistakes. Everything you did right now is wrong. He's been very dogmatic on a lot of things. Just the other day, they passed this law which makes it much more difficult to advertise or to buy alcohol, or will make it difficult to buy alcohol. He's been very critical on a lot of what people call, social lifestyle issues. And I think a lot of people feel that their lifestyle is now under threat, that they were prepared to support Mr. Erdogan when he appeared to be carrying out liberal reforms, but now they see him as just after power, and this attempt to sort of develop an intrinsic part of the city and to turn it into some shopping center. I think they just see it as being greedy. It's struck a raw nerve.
So do you think then he's likely to take a step back, or will he be as defiant as we heard him just a few hours ago in that speech? Do you think these protests will make him change his mind?
Well, he's already taken a step back. The police have withdrawn from Taksim Square. The demonstrators are now free to enter the square. So, in a sense, it has already been a defeat for the government. The government has said, yes, there has been an excessive use of force. Excessive use of force means tens and thousands of tear gas canisters have been fired at these protesters. A lot of them have suffered very serious injury as a result. He says those responsible will be held. So the government realizes that the situation has got out of control. Whether in the end of the day they'll build this shopping mall or not, we just don't know.
And the protests, Andrew, are spreading. We've seen people in Ankara. We've also got pictures, I understand right now, of protests in the eastern city of Diyarbakir. This is a mainly Kurdish city. Now, when you bring in the Kurdish equation into all this, given the issue that there is between the Turkish government and the Kurds, how do you see this developing?
Well, this is a slightly contradictory process, and it is a very tricky thing. Indeed, one of the heroes of this protest was a Kurdish MP from the Kurdish Nationalist Party who basically did the sort of Tiananmen Square thing. He stood in the way of the bulldozers and tried to stop this thing going on in Taksim Square. So, and he was hospitalized as a result. So, and yet on the other hand, a lot of these people marching to the square are not really in favor of the government's Kurdish initiative. So, on one hand, Mr. Erdogan is to be praised for trying to go ahead with trying to reach some settlement with the Kurdish part of the city, and on the other hand, this is one of the things that a lot of these protesters are against. So it is contradictory. It's a situation slightly out of control.
And we've seen a lot of flags there in Istanbul, different political parties attending those protests. Erdogan has said himself that the political parties are trying, the opposition is trying to make a gain out of this. They're trying to make this a political thing. Do you think they'll get anything out of this, the opposition?
Well, he's right in that extent. The opposition party, the main opposition party, the Republican People's Party, or CHP, is saying, that what has happened, this great depth of public feeling, is very much the result of Mr. Erdogan's arrogance, his attempt to hold himself above the law and to really declare himself the law. So they're using this as an opportunity to protest. I think a lot of people would be happier if it weren't a party political protest, but to get to this studio, I had to go on a boat, and there was a very crowded ferry boat in Istanbul. Maybe you can see some of them behind me, and it was full of people about to join this march, which the CHP has organized. So I guess the CHP is using this as an opportunity to make their protests known.
Just one last question for you, Andrew. Do you think this will die down in the next few days, or are we going to see more protests and even more people on the streets?
Well, I don't. I have no crystal ball. I don't know. I can't see this as becoming one of these weeks and weeks of protests. But I think the government really has to say, and indeed they've said so already, that they're not going to go ahead and turn this into a shopping mall. That they're going to protect the park. I think there'll be the situation probably will be diffused in the near future.
Do you see this turning into, and some people have used this expression already, into Turkey's Arab Spring?
Well, I think that comparison is a little bit misleading because, Mr. Erdogan was elected by a majority. His supporters are not out on the street. If they were out on the street, there would be quite a lot of them as well. He is still a relatively popular prime minister. It's just that he's managed to step on the toes of quite a lot of people, certainly in Istanbul and in cities throughout Turkey, and those people are making their protests known. So whether this will develop into a movement I don't see it as becoming an Arab Spring, but certainly it is not a trivial event. It's a landmark event in contemporary Turkish politics, what's happened today.
Andrew,
yesterday.
as always, good to get your thoughts. Thanks for your perspective. Andrew Finkel joining us live from Istanbul.